All right, here we are live. This is the Not Marine National Trail Stop 2 at Chickamauga. This is the recap. So far we have Andrew Green joining us, myself, and Ryan Bortz. Ryan already seems to be looking like he's preparing for the May event. The first thing we're going to do is the Monster Rod Holder Mystery Fish. And what that is, for anyone who's watching, every single legally submitted fish has a chance at winning $150. This right here, you'll see this number. This is a random. Oh, crap. Of course. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Undo, undo. There we go. This right here is a random number generator. What's going on? You'll see that I can change the number a whole bunch. Sorry about that, those technical difficulties. What happens is whatever number that ends up being after the fifth time I hit it with the closest without going under will win $150. $150 is the entry fee. And you have to be someone who has not cashed. So all these names should be people who have not cashed already. And then if you move over, I almost made another mistake. Jeez. I am not on my game. You already cashed, Andrew. Shift cells up. Bortz, I'm assuming you already cashed. All right. I know exactly what I did. I removed these names earlier. I must not have saved the thing when I did it. Shift cells up. And McKinley, where are you at? Because you got big fish. Shift cells up. All right. That was supposed to be prepared before anyone got on. So let's go make sure that the numbers are between 21 and 43. They are. So this number right here will be any number with two decimal point places out between 21 and 43. Closest but not going over is going to win $150. So we're going to do that right now. It is going to I'm going to press the button 5 times and we'll find out who won the mystery fish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 35.75. Closest without going under. Justin Johnston. Oh, man. No, he can't win it. He took third. He cashed. And, oh, my God. This is so clunky. This is so embarrassing. I had this all done before we went live earlier. I didn't, I didn't save it. All right. Well, I'm 2 for 2 doing this mystery fish and having to run it again, but at least I caught it in real time this time. All right. Smallest to largest. Let's go. Sorry, Justin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 33.5. Without going under is Aubrey Boykin. Aubrey Boykin did not get big fish. He did not cash. Aubrey's our winner. 33.5 was the number. The closest without going under is Aubrey Boykin. That mess is finally out of the way. Jeez. Yeah, sorry about that, Eric. Catfish and Chaos. That was that was embarrassing. We're going to go over really quick to the standings for that trail. You'll see with us live at the moment, we have Andrew who took first, Andrew Green who took first representing Texas, Ryan Bortz who took second representing Kentucky, Justin Johnston, he's representing Tennessee, he took third, Aaron Grubbs from Ohio took fourth, Eric Grubbs, Ohio, fifth, I believe Jeremiah is Ohio, that's sixth, Dave McKinley, Kentucky, seventh, Aubrey Boykin, I believe is Ohio, eighth, Ohio, Chris Minahan, ninth, Ohio, Mark Bennett, 10th, and then Kentucky, Ronnie Beckley, 11th. Those are everyone who submitted a fish. And then over really quick to the payouts. Let's go to the payouts. So we had 15 anglers sign up. We had 17 total anglers sign up. One had to withdraw way early in the week last week, but they had a slight chance of being able to fish. So I told them, we'll just leave you in until registration deadline. And then if you don't show up for the captain's meeting, we'll kick you out. And then somebody had an unfortunate accident before the event started. So they had to withdraw with like 15 minutes ago. So we ended up with 15 total people. 1450 went to first, 900 went to second, and 150 went to third. If you go over here, $575 went to Big Fish. However, I sponsored a Big Fish for the gathering. What that was, my sponsorship was $150, and whoever had the longest fish between the gathering and our event, it didn't have to be exclusively either one, won $150. The goal was to get more of our guys fishing a lot of the gathering events, and the reason I made it 150 was because that's the entry fee for our tournament. Um, so whoever ended up with the biggest fish got an extra $150 between all of their events and this single event. A little notch in the kayak catfishing world. Dave McKinley over here, if you want to come over here and check this out, and this will be a crazy story for later. He landed this 47.25 pig twice, technically. So we'll go over that story later. That was the biggest fish of the weekend between every single gathering event and our event. So he won an extra 150 there as well. All right, we have that knocked out of the way. Very
Had
good.
he listened and him and Ronnie went and signed up like I told them to and got their identifier, that would have been another like 700.
Yeah, he would have probably McKinley would have walked away with the second most money on the weekend from the kayakers if they went and got and the gathering was free. So the gathering was free. You didn't actually have to pay to get into their big fish pot. So McKinley could have walked away with, I believe, just under or just at $1,400 with one single fish, which is crazy. Let me go over here and type in the mystery fish, Aubrey Boykin. All right. Aubrey, I'll get you paid out later, bud. I'll send you a message. And yeah, I think that's that. Third time's a charm. I won't mess up the monster rod or mystery fish the third time we do it. And yeah, let's go right into. Oh, first things first, though. I need to do a giant shout out to Daniel Leake, the owner of Catfish Sumo. If you go to catfishsumo.com, use code OCT10, you can get 10% off of any of his gear. That's good for the entire year. He's a one-stop shop for any kind of fishing tackle you need. I used all of it this weekend. I had no issues. I've been using a lot of it for the past year or so too. No issues whatsoever. Uh, but like, I couldn't thank him enough for everything he did, being so gracious, letting us use his warehouse. He was hooking people up with sales who showed up in person. So very, very grateful to him, and grateful to his sponsor. Grateful to the angler he sponsors, Kayak Catfish, because he gave us a lot of free pub. Um, I know you guys know Justin Johnson makes a living off of the YouTube. He plugs us all the time, and I'm just gonna be honest. I've offered him cash for his pluggery, and he won't take it. So uh, giant shout out to JJ for the free publicity as well. It's something he doesn't have to do. It is something I've offered to give him cash for, and he has not taken a dime from us. So that's very, very, very appreciated. So I probably shouldn't have said that, JJ. I don't. I hope I didn't just set any kind of business precedent for you, but I want you to know I and we all appreciate it. All right, now into the meat of all this. Why we're actually here. I'm done messing everything up. And that's not what we want. There we go. All right. Let me pull this up. Got the questions up. All right. Andrew, you first. What did you get down there? How did you what was your initial plan? Where'd you want to go pre-fishing? Did you fish it like Nick and Jack? What because I don't think we had actually talked much this past weekend. So I'm not
Right.
really I'm not really sure what you did at all.
So I got into town, I guess Friday. I didn't pre-fish Friday, but I did get out there and catch some bait Friday afternoon. And I pre-fished Saturday, and I launched there at Chester Frost to pre-fish and had horrible luck. I think I caught 2 fish all of Saturday. I was out there maybe 7 hours.
Mm.
So pre-fishing wasn't great. The day of the tournament, I changed it up and went somewhere else. And it wound up paying off.
Nice. Now, what can I ask? What style of fishing did you do? Were you dragging? Were you finding ledges? Were you anchoring? What were you doing there?
I was suspend fishing. I found so day of the tournament where I launched in the back creek, and I was headed out towards the main channel. And on my way out, in about 34 feet of water, I found a huge structure. Looked like a sunken barge or something down there. Um, and I dropped baits right on top of it. And as soon as I had a big skipjack head on, as soon as that hit the bottom, a flathead picked it up and ran with it.
You had the biggest
So,
flathead of the tournament. I think you had the biggest and maybe the only flathead of the tournament, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, I'm not sure any other flatheads were caught.
Yeah, I don't.
think JJ had one, didn't he?
Was that the one I had to DQ? That I think
he
that
had
was.
a flathead. I can't remember.
I'm gonna go look it up really quick. But that might have been the one I had to. Nope. I didn't have to DQ that one. But no, you're right. He did have a 36-inch flathead. It was right behind yours. Yours was 37.25 though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great flathead. And then I'm gonna pull this up really quick just so people can see. This is the flathead we are talking about. That's Andrew's flathead right there. Very good fish.
Yeah.
Ryan, I'm going to ask you for the sake of asking you, even though I know what you did because I was there for the most of it. What types of fishing did you pre-fishing? Where'd you go? What parts of the lake? That kind of stuff. Depth, back creeks, main channels, any kind of that kind of stuff.
I got down on Wednesday morning at about daylight. Went down. I put in right below Watts Bar Dam. I was hoping to find some fish bumping and catch some bait there. I caught bait there. Not as much as I wanted to that morning, but I caught bait. So then I went to bumping and suspend fishing up there around the hydros. Couldn't find fish. Ran way down river, a couple miles below the ramp. Ended up finding a couple fish down there on a ledge. Dragging upstream. The current was just horrible. There was no flow whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to hate current, and now when I hit a river that's supposed to have current, I'm ready for it. I want it. And so I ended up going out Thursday and went down to a spot down by the power plant on the main lake and in the big part of the main lake and dragged some back creeks, found some fish. And then this guy showed up that didn't have a kayak put together whatsoever. So we assembled that at the boat ramp parking lot, went out and I actually put that guy on a very nice fish. And as I told you that day, I said, I'm going to leave this alone. This is where I'm coming back to. I could drag. There was 6 back creeks there I showed you. And I was ready to fish all 6 of them. And I did fish all 6 of them on tournament day. The one that I had picked out that was the best produced the only 4 fish I scored on the board within the first hour and a half of the tournament. I got there that morning and scanned the back creek I launched in and the back creek I wanted to fish. And I scanned through them both, and there was fish in both of them. So I was coming back out of the main one. It was a really long back creek. It was probably, half a mile or something, 3/4 of a mile back in there. As I was coming back out, there was a catfish boat stopped right in the mouth of it, right where all the big fish came from on Wednesday, and anchored up right dead where I needed to drag. So I just kind of hung out there and waited, dragged back in there and dragged back out. I think I got 5 fish total in that creek, and they just seemed to have pulled out. I quit marking any fish in there. I don't know if the weather, that front coming in, moved them out. I think that was what it was. But it didn't move them out like I thought it did during the tournament. It actually had pushed the fish deeper into the back creek. And for some reason, there's all kinds of little foam markers in there with pipes tied to them. I have no clue what those are for or what they do.
Me neither.
But it ruined the back end of that back creek to where I couldn't go in there and fish. So I ended up going out and hitting some main channel ledges. I caught a few fish there, got up next to a cliff wall up there. And when that rain and wind came through, I was hid from the wind when I got there by that cliff. And when the rain came through, the wind changed directions and started coming dead in against that cliff. And it made for one of the most dangerous situations I've ever been in a kayak. I mean, like, it was the sketchiest thing I've ever done. And I've been in a lot of dams, and we did Lake Erie. This was way worse than anything I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up having to take my kayak back to the bank and actually drain the hull. It completely got full. I don't know how it floated. And somehow during all that madness, the waves had washed my bump board and 3 of my planer boards off the deck of my kayak. And I wasn't even aware it happened. I mean, it was so rough, I wasn't paying attention. I was in get to shore mode.
Yeah.
And if I would have went over there, that was actually a really dangerous situation because there's nowhere to get out of the water if you go in because the cliff wall's a half mile long. And actually, John Ratliff was right there beside me, and he's like, "Man, I ain't doing this." And he was going one way trying to get back to his vehicle, and I was going the other trying to get back to mine. And luckily, the wind kind of calmed down there, and we got out of that situation. Got over and drained my kayak, and realized my stuff was all missing. So I turned around. I realized the planer boards. I'm like, cool. I'll just drag 4 rods. You know, I still got 3 boards. I can drag 3 boards, one out the back, and still be okay. Then I realized my bump board's missing, and I'm like, guys, I'm done. I said that to a bunch of guys in the group chat.
Yeah, I remember you sending that.
And luckily, I turned around, and right at the same time, I realized my bump board was even missing. I turned around and looked, and you could just see it riding on top of the waves out in the middle of the lake. And I ran out there and got it and tried dragging some back creeks, caught a couple of small fish. It was just so rough, I couldn't get back out to where I wanted to fish. So ended up with second. I'll take it. I had some good takedowns that didn't hook up. I think I had 4 short bites that were good fish that were pulling drag in the rod holder that I just didn't get in. And then I ended up straightening a hook. I've never straightened one of these Miranda hooks in my life. And I'll not stop using them. I had my drags locked down way too tight. It was my fault. My opinion, that was the winning fish, and I cost it for myself. So I can't be mad about that.
I hear you. I've actually, with the same exact hook, I think I had a bad batch of them, but mine wasn't even big fish. It was 2 little 10-pound blues, back to back, straighten this hook out. So like it scared me off the brand, but everyone I know uses them. Not everyone, but like a lot of people use them and have no issues. So I think I just ended up with a bad batch, and I think you just ended up with a bad situation. So
I think mine was I don't. Yeah, I have a hook here. So I think mine, the fish was hooked in the tooth patch, and if you look, you put all the strain in the bend of the hook when you have it there.
Yeah,
so
lower it down a little bit. Lower it down a little bit. There you go.
It's so much stronger here than it is here.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So I think that's what happened. I mean, it was 100% my fault for locking my drags down, but I thought switching to mono had got me some bad hook sets. So I thought tightening the drag up might take some of the give out of it from switching to mono. I don't know. I'm going to try it one more time at Hoover. And if I lose fish there, I'll go back to my smaller reels with braid like I used to use.
I hear you. And then real quick, the kayak he was talking about mine, the one he got off the water. Ryan was kind enough to hop off the water in the middle of pre-fishing to help me set up my brand new kayak. I have a Jackson Kayak Take 2 now, and it's so silly. I cannot wait to put more videos out, but it is my favorite catfishing platform of all time to date. And yeah, that's the I'm just going to shamelessly plug them just here for a second.
Oh no, that kayak, actually, I saw you going 4 miles an hour and turn sideways in the seat with your foot in the water. So that's how stable that stupid thing is.
Yeah, that thing, it's silly. Eric, you're just joining. This is Eric Jacobs for everyone who is looking.
Hello.
How did your pre-fishing go? Where'd you go? What'd you do? Before the tournament started, and then tournament day, what did you end up doing?
Well, so pretty much it was Navionics. I was looking, trying to find something. So the big island where the river joins the Tennessee River looked like a great spot. Chris went and pre-fished it. Big shout out to Chris Manahan. He hooked me up with bait and everything. So did Ryan. Appreciate it.
Yes, we'll be talking about that here in a second.
Yep. So pretty much we went up and he found them in the shallows. So I'm thinking the low pressure system moved them out to the drop offs. I was marking a bunch of fish. So I dropped baits. Yep, right there. Perfect. So pretty much the east-south side of the island is where I was fishing.
Gotcha.
Dragging baits. 2, yep, right there. 2 suspended on the front, 2 dragging out the back. And it seemed like heads. It seemed like everything was on skipjack heads. Body sections I really didn't have luck with. But the coves, so was that 1, 2? So the third cove up is where I really started marking fish. And it seemed, so I just drug. I drug all the way up and down that the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And it produced a lot of fish. I mean, I probably caught 15 fish, but it was 27 to 30 inch.
Yeah, I feel you.
No big fish, you know.
Andrew and Ryan, did you experience? I actually experienced that too. That a lot of my fish came on head pieces, actually for the whole weekend. And
Yeah.
it's normally the opposite. I normally catch more numbers on the side sections or sections in general. But even my numbers this past weekend came on head pieces. You guys have any difference or?
The majority of my fish came on head pieces the entire weekend, and I think actually every fish on tournament day was on a head piece.
Was it?
But that could be because once I caught 2 or 3 on head pieces and didn't get bites on body sections, I had a stupid supply of bait, so I just put head sections on everything.
Yeah.
I took like 20 skipjacks out on the water with me on tournament day, and I had 6 head pieces dragging behind me just about the whole time.
How about you, Andrew?
My 2 biggest fish came on head pieces, but everything else came on body pieces.
Everything else came on body. So I mean
Wow.
that still makes sense though. Any you guys, as far as in general, do you ever notice a change in numbers and or size fish between heads and sides, or is that just like person to person? Do you think
I love heads.
you like
Heads
the
is my
headpiece?
go-to.
That's
Yes.
your go-to.
Yes, absolutely.
How about you, Andrew?
I really don't see a size difference.
You don't see a size?
Some of the biggest fish I've caught have come on whole shad, big 10-inch shad. That's probably what I catch the biggest fish on.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Ryan, when you're dragging, do you ever, throw more side sections out for like quantity over quality, or do you have you not noticed a difference?
Majority of the time, the body sections will get me my numbers of fish. The head chunks, which if I'm running head chunks, I run stupid, like baits that size.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So I end up with bigger fish, but it's not that I don't get small bites on the head chunks. It's just that the small fish can't hook up.
I can't hook up. Yep. Meet and greet. We did the same thing this past month. The only difference is the questions about the meet and greet for this time. Did you like the fact that we didn't have to do a morning check-in at a ramp? Did you think, was there any? Do you think there was any real competitive advantage gained, not gained, etc.? Did you feel better driving home after the tournament this time with not having a check-in in the morning? So anything like that, anything about the check-in, something you want to see change in the future? Hoover's going to have a similar check-in. I'm just trying to, figure out where we're going to have it at in May. So, Andrew, I'll go to you first with that question. Every single angler actually went to the check-in. There were only 2 anglers who did not make the night before check-in. That was Ryan Bortz and Chris Minahan. They were actually out trying to collect bait for anyone in the tournament who wanted fresh bait. So giant shout out to you, Ryan and Chris, for doing that. I know Ryan went down early to pre-fish, but guys, I'm telling you right now, he spent 70% of his time getting bait for the gathering and getting bait for the people in this tournament. When Ryan and I went down to bump Chickamauga, I bumped for about 4 hours. He bumped for maybe 2. He spent the extra 2 hours catching bait, whereas I spent 4 hours trying to catch bait and he spent 6. So, and he gave it all away. He went home with nothing. Like I have a freezer full of skips that I didn't catch. So does like Eric and my buddy Bark.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that was insane. But yeah, Andrew, anything you think we could change, make better? Did you like it more that you didn't have to check in the morning? Any kind of like competitive advantage, disadvantage? Right now is the time to let me know.
The only advantage that I think that gives somebody is if their spot is an hour away from where they're staying. That way they don't have to run to the check-in point and then run out. My spot was only like 15 minutes from where I was staying, so it really wasn't an advantage not to check in.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it works. I mean, with our delayed start too, it gave me a little extra sleep in the morning. So
yeah, did you end up driving to? You said the Carolinas afterwards. Did you end up driving immediately after tournament, and how'd that drive go?
Yeah, I drove immediately to North Carolina, and the drive was fine. I didn't get there till almost midnight, but it wasn't too bad.
Is that where you're at right now? You said you were staying for a couple days.
No, I left there this morning. I am actually in Mississippi at the moment.
Are you fishing Mississippi at all?
No.
Oh.
No, I just stopped for the night, and then I'm headed on to the house in the morning.
Nice.
He's not us, Mike. He can drive through a state without stopping to fish.
I was just going to ask
The
you,
one-
Ryan and I, it's on our bucket list to go bump out of the kayak in the Mississippi River. We were just curious if you were there. That would be sweet. Did you fish at all when you were in Carolinas?
I didn't get a chance to. Yesterday. I got completely tied up with work stuff. I didn't even get to do anything that I wanted to yesterday. But
I feel you.
it's just the way it goes sometimes.
I feel you. Ryan, the check-in. Actually, you don't have an opinion. You were out catching bait.
Yeah.
Eric, the check-in. How'd you? This was your first check-in, so just to let you know what we did last time. You checked. There was it was an optional meet and greet the night before. I didn't do any of the check-in the night before. I did it all. Everything you saw me do then, I did in the morning, and then people went and fished, and then they had to come back. We eliminated that in the morning this time. I did all the board checks and stuff the night before. So, how was as a first timer? How was your experience with this? Did you like it? Anything you didn't like? Let us know.
I mean, honestly, it's an online tournament, so I think it's more beneficial to do the check-in and everything boards the night before, because you still have to be back by a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
So let the anglers go and get to their spot. If it's that far away, you have to get out of the water early.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Our boundaries. I've been looking at all of our boundaries. There's not really a single event that we do where the farthest away point isn't an hour. So
Right.
even if you go to the very furthest point away from check-in, you can still theoretically get away with fishing almost up to lines out if you're really efficient at pulling your kayak out of the water.
Absolutely.
So because our boundaries, I think we have it locked in pretty good. Also, safety is a huge thing. It's a huge thing for me. I don't want guys driving home drowsy. The drive home, I'll be honest, the drive home from the last one, it sucked. I hated it.
Yes.
The drive from this one for me wasn't terrible. Where I screwed up was I stopped at Hardee's halfway home and I loaded up and I got sleepy because I was full, not because of the drive. But I mean, that's my fault. And when you put like 6 patties and stuff in your body with 3 hours to go, you got no one to blame but yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and then as far as the administration side, I'm gonna be honest, I love it. There's less stress in getting up in the morning. I have a little bit more to do than most people. Being able to go, I technically could have woke up at like 11 if I wanted to, but I still woke up and went out and went fishing that morning. As far as the administration side's concerned, I'll answer that same question. I loved it. It's so much nicer to knock everything out the night before. That's not to say if an angler couldn't make it, he could have checked in the morning, or she could have, which they could have. But at the same time, it was nice to get it all done the night before. So yeah, we're gonna keep this going forward for 100% for sure.
Absolutely loved it. It was great tournament, really.
Let me see here. We already talked about day of where everybody went. We talked about bait. So before we talk about Ryan going to get bait, take Ryan out of the picture, what was the bait situation like? And I'll start, Andrew. What was your bait situation like? Take Ryan out of the picture.
So Friday I went down to the dam there and I caught a few skipjack and caught a couple crappie actually there as well. So I had those, and then Saturday before the check-in, I went back down to below the dam and threw a cast net and caught a bunch of huge gizzard shad. So I had some bait, and then I did buy a few extra skipjack off of Ryan later that evening.
Nice.
So I had tons of bait.
Yeah. Okay. So that's good. That's, as the administrator, like, one of my biggest fears is making sure, not the level playing field, but making sure everyone has the opportunity to fish. So like knowing people can get bait, but that's also part of the competitors. The competitor also kind of has to be able to put himself on bait as well too. So it sounds like you had no issues getting bait. Eric, Ryan out of the question. What would you have done for bait?
I would have been in bad shape.
What was that?
I'd have been in bad shape. It was bad. I mean, so Ryan and Chris, so I decided to go captain's meeting. I know it wasn't an option, but I wanted to go meet everybody, kind of hang out. And Ryan and Chris, they said, we're going. And thank goodness they did. because that was I had skipjacks from Friday that have been sitting on ice, not fresh bait, and it probably would have been a bad situation, really.
Mhm.
And I never did see like shad balls or anything I could throw a cast net over. Few and far between, and I think they were mostly small shad. I never marked a really good set of shad to throw a cast net on.
I marked a couple in the back creeks, a couple like very specific bait balls, but it wasn't like the last time I was down there where you could just put your trolling motor on one direction, throw your cast net every time, and get like 5 or more. So yeah, so I know what you mean. Main channel, I didn't see anything in the main channel. I know some people did better fishing the main channel. I think Saturday or Sunday. But pre-fishing, all the everything I was hearing pre-fishing in the main channel, everyone was struggling on the ledges and all that kind of stuff. So I feel you on that. As far as I'll answer my bait question before we go to Ryan. I didn't struggle on bait. I caught more than enough for myself, but I didn't catch them like Ryan did. To join us some these nice, yeah, yeah. I didn't struggle catching it, but like Ryan will sit there and throw and throw and throw and throw. Even if he's not catching it once every 3 or 4 casts, he'll throw 10 casts and catch 1 or 2. I just don't have the patience for that. Like I was trolling, catching him 1 or 2 a troll, etc. While he was just sitting there grinding it out to get like 106 hours. It was insane. Ryan, let's not talk about Chickamauga because I just talked about that bait. What did you do for bait?
So when I stopped at Watts Bar on the way down to try that for bait, it was like you were talking about. It was one skip every 10 casts or something. I think it took me like 4 hours to get 40 or 50 skips, to get my cooler full to where I was comfortable with, okay, I've got enough bait to pre-fish for the rest of the week. And I saw Brandon Masters at the boat ramp as I was heading back up, and he's like, "Nah, man, you just got to hit them in the evening." And I said, okay. So I went on up there and I started casting. And before I knew it, I had my cooler full. I had the whole floor of the kayak full. And I'm like, okay, I've got over 100. I need to get some ice. So I ran up to the gas station. There's a gas station like 2 miles from Watts Bar Dam. And they were out of ice. And I'm like, where's the next place to get some ice? Evidently, everybody goes to that gas station to get ice when they go there to get skips, because I've not been to a gas station that doesn't have ice. You know what I mean? So I get there. He tells me to go up to the dollar store, and it ends up being like another mile up the road. I iced all that down and came back, and that's what actually me and you and Chris and everybody fished on until I went back Saturday night and caught another 100, and Chris caught 100 that night, and they were big skips. I mean, you guys all saw them. They were 3-pound skipjack, and when you get 3 of those on at a time on a sabiki rig in a kayak, trying to lift that up, you can't just in a boat. You just boat flip them, and they land where they hit, and you're good. In the kayak, you have a space, 3 feet wide and 3 feet long to hit them. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect.
But it was insane fun catching them up there like that.
Let me just make sure no chats come up. And then somebody in the same exact spot. This is my old kayak right here. If you guys are looking.
I actually
there's a pod you can't see. So this is the pod that this can probably fit 25 plus big skipjack in it. And this is on top of the pod.
I actually sent him the a map. I drew a little square on a map screenshot and told him where to go to get those.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's kind of you. That's kind of you to help people out too.
I mean, that's what we're out here for. We're not here to beat somebody because they didn't have bait. I mean, in the boat world, they look at it as if you can't catch bait, you don't need to catch fish. I mean, I've heard that a million times, but I don't want to see somebody like Andrew. I don't want to see him drive, 10, 11 hours and then have to use some crap bait for the tournament. Nobody wants to win that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and that's somewhere where I'm sure we'll eventually get to that point where there'll be just so many people in this that it'll eventually get to the cutthroat. But I think we have a good core to start this to where, like, even when it does get to that point, there's going to be you, me, Chris, Eric, Andrew. Like, there's going to be guys who are going to be willing to talk and share and come on these podcasts afterwards, share the bait beforehand, etc. Because I'll be honest, we catch a decent amount of crap from some of the boat guys. Like, man, they're way too friendly. They help each other out too much, and I'm just like, well, we also want to see the best compete. We also want to see the best people win, and we also we don't want to see people winning on a technicality. So I had so we can go on to something else next. Now I had to DQ a ton of fish. I had not a ton of fish, but I had to DQ more fish than I thought I would with all the experienced vets that we had. I had to make a lot of adjustments on a lot of fish. So, and I was trying really hard to keep up with that. Like the moment someone submitted a fish, I was trying really hard to make sure I either DQ'd it or approved it right away. So everyone had a general idea of where they were throughout the day. For the audience, to a point, for people following to the point, but mainly for the competitors and know they're not making any mistakes. Something I had to do. So anyone watching this going forward, the kayak trail, the national trail is a kayak event. Your kayak has to be in the photo. So the very first picture, of the first 5 pictures, I had to completely DQ 2 of them because one person took a picture of it on the bank because they were bank fishing. You can bank fish in our tournaments. You just have to access your bank location via kayak, and your kayak has to be the rod holder. That's for safety. Like we have that rule in there for safety issues and all that, all that kind of concern. We knew the weather was probably going to be bad that day, so this angler prepared for that. He's like, well, you know what? I'm actually just going to bank fish the whole time. Once this weather comes in, I'll be fine. I'll already be on the bank. He's been fishing the month longs, but in the month long, the rule is as long as you're legal in the state, you're legal in the tournament, and you can bank fish, boat fish, or kayak fish. So he was just so used to just taking the picture and submitting it. So I had to I DQ'd that fish, gave him a call real quick. Hey man, kayak in the photo. No joke. Less than 5 minutes later, 42-inch fish hits the board. And no kayak in the photo. He took the fish to the shore to picture it because he wanted to make sure he got a good picture of it. Didn't have the kayak in the photo. So there I am. I sent a mass message to the whole tournament. I put a post on Facebook. I was like, guys, National Trail, kayak has to be in the photo. Like picturing them on the bank is fine, but you got to have the kayak in the photo. We had a couple instances where the tail wasn't clearly breaking a 1/4 inch mark. So let me pull up a picture really quick here.
That's actually a very easy mistake to make. When
You're
on the water and trying to see what that fish will make and what it won't.
Yep. And it's
Sandusky's really bad for that.
Yep. Let me pull up an example here. I'll just use this one for example, even though it's a bad example because it's right on it, but I'll show you guys what I mean. Whoops. Nope. There we go. So this is what I mean. So this is exactly what I want to see. The tail is touching the line. That's exactly what I want to see. But hypothetically speaking, push this up like a 1/2 inch. If that tail is in this general dead space and you submit it at 33.25, unless it's very clear it is past that 0.25 up here somewhere, I might have to deduct it a 1/4 inch. I had a whole bunch of those where anglers had their tail fin in that just gray area where there was no line, and it wasn't clear as day that it was past it, so I bumped it down a 1/4 inch to the previous mark. So that's a little education for people, for some people going forward. As far as judging, there was only one thing I truly missed the whole time. Eric caught a fish. He grabbed the wrong photo, submitted that fish, and that was the only thing that I messed up the whole tournament. He double submitted the same fish about a couple hours away from each other. It didn't affect the standings, and we caught it right there at the boat ramp. But as far as judging, any questions, concerns? Do you guys think it was fair? Andrew, you're the winner, so we're starting with you with all the questions.
Of course, it was fair. Right?
Yeah.
No, I mean, you've done a great job judging both these tournaments and all the online stuff. I really have no complaints with the way you're running these.
That makes me feel really good. Eric, Ryan. Well, actually, Ryan, you don't get to answer this question because when you screw, I get so mad when he screws up because he shouldn't be screwing up. But go ahead, Eric. How'd you feel? Because I actually had to DQ one of your fish, and reduce one of your fish. So how'd you feel about it?
That was absolutely my fault. So it was right before that storm was coming in. So I actually caught a 32, a 31, and a 29. So somehow, while I was underneath the shade tree trying to keep dry, I submitted a fish, right? I submitted a fish. I thought it was the last fish I caught, but it was not. So it really should have been a 31 inch. So I go to submit photo and I zoom in to see where it breaks at. So I thought it was a 39 and a half. Well, it was not. That was, or a 29 and a half, I'm sorry. And it was not. That was the previous fish I caught. So, I mean, photos are a huge deal in this tournament scene. Always have been. That was completely my mistake. And
Oh, actually, hold on real quick. This is what I was just talking about.
yes.
So Eric actually originally submitted this fish at 31.25. You'll see how it says 31 inches now. So
Yes.
what I mean is
You can't see the tail breaking.
it might be
The bottom.
31.25, but it's not clear as day. So I had to move this down to 31.
Yes.
So
Did
it
you
could
move
have
that?
yeah, that's
even
what I
pay
mean.
attention. I don't blame you for doing it. I mean, that's yes, that's a bad photo. And see, that's the thing is half of it's catching a fish, the other half is taking a good photo of the fish.
Mm-hmm.
I have a suggestion that will help out with the situation you had there. So where you have so many pictures of so many fish, like if you're
Yeah.
like me, you'll take 10 pictures of one fish just to make sure you get a good one.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. So between fish, after you take that 10th picture, that last picture of whatever size fish it is, say it was a 31 inch fish. After you take that last picture that you're going to take and you release the fish, hold your hand over your camera on your phone and take a black picture. And it separates your fish from each other.
It.
That's actually a really good idea because that drives me insane when I'm trying to because like they're far away on your phone. You're just like, and especially when you catch a bunch that are similar size.
Yeah.
That's a great idea for Sandusky because Sandusky is a nightmare.
That's where I learned it at. Actually,
Yeah,
I learned
that's
that
a
there
great
last
idea.
So,
I'm gonna have to keep that in the
I just
repertoire.
hold my hand over the lens and snap a picture, and it makes a black screen between your fish.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes perfect
great
sense.
idea. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate you and the bait.
All right, let's see here. Payouts. We actually already talked about this in the last live. Payouts. We had to go to the 15-person scale. We already chatted about that. How'd you feel about the payouts, Andrew, Ryan? You guys both cashed. Andrew, we'll start with you. How'd you feel about the payout with 15 people? Did you think $1,450 was fair for a 15-person tournament? I think that's $100 a person.
Right. So yeah, the way it breaks at 15, 3 people get paid out, top 3.
Yeah.
So I thought it was fair. It pays for my trip at least. So
yeah, 100%. 100%. Right there, $1,450 for first. Ryan, how'd you feel about $900? You know what's really funny? Bumping up second place more was no joke. More dedicated to Andrew than anyone else, and Ryan and Andrew. Because I asked everybody last tournament, hey, what did you? Oh crap, I gotta move this over. I asked everyone like last tournament, like, hey, what'd you feel? What was your average expenses? Because I didn't want someone coming down to our tournament taking second in a tournament where $1,200 was donated by a sponsor and not at minimum breaking even. Because everyone's traveling from a different amount of distance. And I thought to myself, okay, well, if we only get 12 again next month, like this month, 700 is probably not going to just break even at 700, which we moved that up because I try to take into account we have a Texas gentleman coming up every single time. I don't want him taking second in a tournament with 15 people and being negative on the weekend if he came up one straight home. But yeah, Ryan, so you took second, you got the 900 this time. How'd you feel about 900 for second place?
I'd rather have that 1,450. Andrew owes me like $1,500 or $500 now because I let him have that. You know what I mean? But no, all jokes aside, between that and the bait that I sold, I probably came out the same as Andrew. I probably made money this time pretty decently. So between selling bait and giving bait away and all that, and plus what I won, I probably actually came out ahead pretty decent. I don't know. I'd have to add it up. I'd say I made a couple $100.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Eric, Even though you didn't get paid out, how do you feel about the payout structure? Do you think this is fair?
So that coin right there is priceless.
Oh, the coin. Oh yeah, the top 5 get a coin.
Yes. So that coin is priceless. Like that's going on the mantle. Love it.
That's awesome.
So
Me
yeah,
and Andrew's trying to see who can collect the most.
right.
So
So,
Catfish
good with that.
Sumo gave us a coin. It's a really like sturdy, like legitimate coin
It
for the
is.
top 5.
It's
Yeah.
a legitimate coin. It really is. I'm gonna put it on the gold chain.
Yeah.
If you don't show up at Hoover with that on a gold chain, I'm going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I will. I will show up to Hoover with it on gold chain.
This isn't a terrible idea either. Somebody, Facebook user, just said, as a bass angler, I hold a finger to represent each fish after all in between fish. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you do that, guys, just make sure you don't submit any middle fingers to the leaderboard.
Put the JJ on, and you'll go to tournament jail.
Yeah. So real quick, this 1540 after 2 tournaments, our national cat king, the point race, I believe, is up to 1540 if I'm not mistaken, because this doesn't change with our payout. And we had 12 people last month, which puts us at 240, and we had 15 people this month, 300. Yeah. So in 2 tournaments, that's already at 1540.
Oh,
So if we average 500 every 2 tournaments, the cat king pot will be at $3,000 by the end of this thing, which that's a very conservative number because I think Sandusky's going to be huge.
That's better than the 300 I won last year for the Cat King. I mean, was
Yeah.
it like $300 or $400 I won?
Yeah, it was $300 or $400. And what I'm doing at the end of this season, there's 4 Cat Kings that we will end up having 4 Cat Kings. Give me 1 second. Let me pull up our scene here. I'll bust this out again. We're going to have a Cat King for the National Trail, for the month long, for the regional, and for Scioto. In November, what I'm going to do is I'm tossing $500 of my own money up, and I'm going to have all 4 of them compete against each other for $500. So the Cat King of each individual one gets to fish for an additional $500 in November. If any of them end up being the same somehow, I'll figure it out. I'll cross that bridge when we come, but I think I'll just bump it out to the next one because I want to see 4 people. I want to see all 4 Cat Kings. You know what? No, we're not going to bump it out. If you're the Cat King in multiple events, I only want the Cat Kings in this. So we're going to have the 4 Cat Kings battle it out for an additional $500. Now that won't be in person, etc. We'll figure that out online. We'll let the anglers choose their competition to make it. You remember last year how we did our Cat King where you got to choose with your opponent? We'll do something like that in November. I think that'd be cool. So let's see here. Let me go over to the questions. Payouts, we talked about it. General expenses. David McKinley. Okay. We're going to finish the live on this story because this story is absolutely insane, but I completely believe him because David McKinley is one of the nicest stand-up people I've ever met in my life. He's been fishing this for 4 or 5 years now. Never once has been accused of a single shady thing. So come check this out. Check out this fish. So this is technically the second time he caught the fish, but since it was the bigger of the 2, I left this one on the board. So this is a hog, 47.25 inches, absolute hog.
And that's
actually think
over the front. Pull that up. He lost an inch or 2.
Yes, it is.
I think it was close to 48. Maybe just over because this fish was so big. His nose is over the front. Come down here. Yeah, 47.25. Dave catches this fish twice. You could tell because his other, I'm not going to pull it up because I would have to go behind the scenes, but this is a very, distinguished spot. It was on both fish. If he came back here, there was there's a little slice right here and there's these 2 little white dots. It was clearly the same fish. So I get back to the boat ramp and I'm reviewing the fish. And I'm like, he caught 247 plus inches in the last 30 minutes. He was right around the corner from me, within eye shot of me. And I'm like, damn, that's insane. And then we're looking at the fish and we're like, oh no, that's the same exact fish. So a lot of things are going through our mind. So like, if you look at the fish finder's clearly 30 minutes apart. It's not like he took 2 different photos at the same exact time and submitted them. The fish finder's clearly a half hour apart, not just the submission time. So I'm like, I wonder what happened. Like, because it's all muddy on the bottom
Yeah.
of the second picture, and he's not. It's like, but because you would think if you caught the fish the first time he'd be muddy, and the second time he'd be not muddy because you just released him, etc. So Dave said he catches this tank, lets him go, continues with his drag, suspend drift, etc. Hooks into it a second time, but he's like, it's on the clock. He has to get back. So he measures it again, submits it, rushes back to the check-in location because he was on the clock. Like he had to get it done. So I'm looking at the fish. I'm like, Dave, dude, it's the same exact fish. Like I have to DQ one of them. We can't have the same fish up twice. And then he told me the story about how he caught it twice. So here's my educated guess. Because he said the second time he caught it, it was dead weight. It didn't fight at all. There's no way a fish that big doesn't fight at all. And Dave actually sent us a video of it. It was pretty cool. My guess is that fish leaves his kayak, goes in front of the kayak, and just goes to rest. And then Dave coming up through rehooks him with one of his damn baits, reels him up, is like, oh my God, I caught back-to-back 70-pound fish. Submits it and gets it out of there. And so yeah, that's the story behind that fish. We unfortunately had to DQ the one. But yeah, I don't suspect any foul play whatsoever. Because like when I showed it to him, he's like, oh yeah, that's clearly the same fish. Normally when just my experience, when someone's being shady, like they'll throw a fit or you know what I mean? Also, hypothetically speaking, let's say he genuinely tried cheating. It would have been the worst attempt at cheating of all time because they're like it was so obviously the same fish. So we're all at the boat ramp and he's telling the story. It was pretty cool. But yeah, that's nuts catching it back to back. But I mean, if I was him, I'd tell everyone, yeah, I caught back to back 70-pounders. You don't need to know it's the same fish. I caught back to back 70s. So
Man, that was a pig.
yeah, that and the fact that he got to catch it twice.
Yeah.
And a little notch in our cap as kayak anglers. Between us, the boats, the banks, and the kayaks, between the gathering and our event, we had the biggest fish of the entire weekend with a half hour to go. So it always feels good to be the guys who have the biggest fish amongst boats and bank anglers as well. So, Andrew, I'm gonna let you do your sign off first here. We're just under an hour, which is perfect. I'm trying to keep these about an hour, a little shorter. When's the next event you're fishing? If you're doing another trail stop, anything you want to say about this last one or upcoming ones? Now's your time.
I mean, I plan on being at all of them, so I'll be at Hoover. I got events that I'm fishing back home too. I don't know what's coming up next, but I'm fishing all the time, so. I would like to say that you do a great job with this series, and everyone that I've met at these events has been just stand-up people. So I can't say enough about the people in this series.
Yep, and I can't thank you enough for joining. The fact that I saw someone sign up from Texas in the first event, I was like, no way! I was like, that's so cool, because I know me.
If this event wasn't if you didn't run a great event and it wasn't, wasn't a quality event, I wouldn't be here. So, that speaks to y'all that y'all are dragging me this far out.
That makes me feel really good, and we have the cast around us, and that makes me feel really good. Yeah. Eric, you're up next. Any last words about the event? Or upcoming events that you plan on fishing? You better fish Hoover. It's your backyard, damn it.
Yeah. Well, I'm fishing Hoover. Hoover, Sandusky, yes. I'm hoping Andrew don't come. I'm hoping he stays at home.
Well, I'm coming.
I'm definitely fishing some more events. I mean, this is the group of guys we got right now. You can't beat, honestly. I mean, we're all here to help each other, and it's kind of crazy. Catfish anglers usually don't do that for each other or with each other, but
just fishing anglers in general. I'll agree, yeah.
But it's going to get bigger, and hopefully the group of guys we got will stick together, and, Andrew will tell me how to catch fish.
Uh-oh. That wasn't me, Eric. All right, well, when Eric gets back, he can – oh, there you are.
I'm here. I got a phone call, of course.
Oh, okay.
And Ryan will catch me some more bait. Ryan, we are going to take your truck tires at Hoover.
I was just happy I didn't end up with a banana this time. Brandon Hunter was going to put a banana in my kayak last time. Now
Okay.
these guys are taking my tires off and pulling my ECM fuses. So
Yeah, we're going to take the tires off and put bananas everywhere. So, and pray for you too, Andrew. So, be on the watchout.
Yeah, Andrew, dude, you're making a name for yourself. I've gotten
He is.
multiple
And
messages from a
Andrew's
lot of
killing
people
it. He
saying
really is.
like Andrew is a bad angler. Not no, I couldn't say what I wanted to say.
You're right.
Yeah,
right.
no, you knew what I meant to say, but I had to catch myself because
I mean, honestly, like Ryan was the dude, and Andrew's coming through and just whooping him.
yeah.
And I love it.
oh God.
Yeah, just straight
and just so
whooping.
everyone,
Cut
just
me deep right there.
hold on.
And Ryan even pre-fished for 4 days prior to the tournament, and Andrew came in with at day 2 and just whooped it.
Hold on. In Ryan's defense, he spent so much time getting bait for so many people.
I know,
really
hey, Brian, I do appreciate the bait.
It was
No
insane.
problem.
Hey, but Andrew did spank him cheeks. He did.
That's right. This is my turn.
It's your turn, but I'm going to say this really quick. On merit, Ryan technically took third. Ryan technically wasn't second. Technically. JJ beat him. I had to
had that disqualified fit. Oh.
So a little more behind the scenes, guys. I had to completely disqualify one of Justin Johnson's fish, Kayak Catfish. He would have beat Ryan if I didn't have to DQ that fish. However, hey, being in the rules is part of the tournament, man.
It is.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'll take Justin being a dumbass for
Hey!
second any day.
I like it.
And for anybody watching, JJ is one of us. Like, he's essentially one of us now. He's in the group.
He is. He's a good dude. I love
Yeah,
JJ.
he's such a good dude. He's been so cool with us. But yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
We talk so much crap, man, back and forth during we both pre-fished almost the same days.
Scoot your head down just a little bit. There you go. You gotta get on my height. You gotta get on my height.
Get on my
level.
Yeah.
But no, we pre-fished the same days. We shared some info. You know what I mean? We actually helped each other out a little bit here and there, and he's a blast. Like once you get to know him well and get to talking some trash with him and stuff, he would fit in at any place we go, at any of our after pre-tournament shenanigans that we go and do.
Yeah. We had fun. We had one fun night. We did have a fun night.
Yeah, that's why I had to go catch bait by myself.
Chris went with you.
Like I said, I was by myself.
All right, I got you.
That's hysterical. But yeah,
I do got to give a shout out, Mike.
Oh, you're gonna run through your 25 sponsors?
I only got like 4. No,
yeah.
I want to give Chris Flores a shout out. That's my rod sponsor from Muddy River Catfishing. I come home today and I had this, and I mean that is one of the coolest things I've ever received.
It is pretty.
Oh, hold on one second. Let me see if I can get you. Oh, no.
Yeah,
that's not what I wanted. Actually, I don't know how to pull up an individual. I'm sorry.
Hey, what about Mad Cats?
Oh, okay. I'll go over. Let me go over the Trophy Seeker Outdoors thing real quick, and then we'll go over Mad Cats, and then we'll plug the next stop. So Trophy Seeker Outdoors. So Ryan, he right there. He said Ryan caught half the bait for the 20 people there. Trophy Seeker Outdoors also. I'll be in a sponsorship for his tournament next year at $300. A little bit of a misunderstanding / miscommunication. I put up $150 for the longest fish of the entire weekend, his event or my event. You just had to be in one or the other. The goal was to get more kayak guys who are already down there pre-fishing to get into the gathering, because and the reason I put it at $150, that's your entry fee for our tournament. So if you ended up catching the longest fish of the weekend, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, you could have won your entry fee back. Like that was I was trying to push more of our guys to him. A little misunderstanding there. So sorry about that, Daryl. That's my fault. So next year I said, you know what we're going to do? I'll do 300. $150 for only your events, and then $150 for what we did this year again, where it's my event and your event to try and push people over. I do know I kind of cost me and Daryl a little more money out of our own pockets because I kind of screwed that up. Mad Cats, real quick, we had an angler flip their kayak. No joke, 20 minutes before the tournament started. Lost a bunch of rods, lost a bunch of stuff. Matt hooked them up with two brand new rods. So those will be getting there sometime this week, sometime next week. So I wanted everyone to know Mad Cat stepped up and did that. That was really cool. Really cool of him to do that.
They do put out a kayak rod.
Yeah, I do believe they put up a kayak rod. The angler wanted pink and green, so they got pink and green.
Right.
So, but yeah, they do. I believe they do have a kayak rod. And then last but not least, let's plug the next event. On May 13th, we are at Hoover. Chubby Fish Outdoors is sponsoring this. BCAT Boards is sponsoring the big fish prize for this. Monster Rod Holder again will be doing another mystery fish. Not Marine. They are doing the National Trail. They're doing the initial 1,000 of the National Trail point race. So how you can support Chubby Fish, we'll figure it out. I mean, he's honoring. Hey, I love David Elbrick. He's honoring his sponsorship. The company doesn't exactly exist anymore, but he is honoring his 2 sponsorships for this one and Rising Sun. We'll figure out a way to support him somehow. But yeah, we'll be pushing BCAT a lot between now and then. Monster Rod Holders, Not Marine, all that kind of fun stuff. And yeah, I can't think of anything else to say. This is right about an hour. This is right where I want to be. So does anyone have any questions at all? Nope.
Is there any thoughts for next year's trail being on Saturday instead of Sunday? I know we've kind of
amazing
tossed it around.
Yeah, so Saturday or next year, there'll probably be a lot more Saturday events. It'll probably more 50-50 or more like 75-25 Saturday, Sunday. All depends on which deals fall through with which events and where we're at what time. There's a lot in the works. The guys who are coming to the tournaments know a little bit about what's going on behind the scenes. Nothing's been posted, nothing's been official. But I'm working with a gentleman who might take this to the next level. And by next level, I mean like we're looking at like $5+ grand guaranteed every single event before a single entry fee. So
there you go, Andrew. That's
so yeah. So but when I work with him, I'll be working around that trail as well. Sometimes with them, sometimes not with them. I know a lot of the anglers prefer Saturday as opposed to Sunday. So, you know, I'm also going to appease the anglers. That's the whole point of this is I ask the anglers all the time what they want to do, and that's what we do. So, yeah, there'll be a lot more Saturday events next year. That's for sure. This upcoming one's a Saturday. I'm almost positive.
It is?
Yeah, this upcoming one is a Saturday. Yeah.
Is it?
Oh, okay.
Yep. Hoover is a Saturday.
Because Sunday's Mother's Day. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you're
so.
Right. What about a night tournament? Would you consider that? I mean, I want to fish at night anyway.
We could. It just.
I mean, I understand safety comes into play there, but.
And it's not even so much the safety. It's just like the whole. It would just have to depend on how we ran it next year. This year would probably be a lot easier. I wouldn't mind doing like a one-off. I just don't know if I would want to do a trail just because when people pre-fish, they want to pre-fish the hours that they're fishing. Well, if you have a night tournament, well, if you spend 2 or 3 days pre-fishing midnight to 6 a.m, it's just a nightmare. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So well, the reason I was asking was Kurt, because it's going to be like 800 degrees at Kurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will be. Bring sunscreen.
I wouldn't worry about the heat.
I'm not the one that turns red every tournament, Mike.
It gets hot back where I fish, so the heat's not going to bother me.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just give Andrew another advantage. Why don't we?
Yeah. That's funny.
I will say
boys.
this about night tournaments. I did fish a night tournament last year. leaving a night tournament at 3, 4 in the morning sucks.
Yeah, I believe
It
that.
absolutely sucks.
Yeah, Ryan, that one night tournament that you and I fished down at Melton, Kentucky. Dude, I almost fell asleep at the wheel like 7 times on the way home.
Oh no,
And
I
that-
took a nap in the parking lot before I went home.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm not opposed to doing maybe a one-off. I don't see it being part of like a serious money trail.
Yeah.
So, all right, boys. I'm gonna close this live here in 3, 2, 1.